So what on earth does forgiveness have to do with success? And I have to admit, I get some pretty strange looks from people whenever I tell them that forgiveness is one of the 6 elements of personal choice that makes up their mindset foundation. Now, my favorite part, though, is whenever that confusion gives way to that dawning moment of comprehension where they see that a forgiveness issue has held them back, sometimes maybe even for decades. Now, the opposing side of forgiveness is resentment. It's holding a grudge against somebody for a perceived wrong or something that they've done to us that we feel like is personally damaging or just doesn't set well with us. Let's put it that way. It could be a big thing or a little thing. Forgiveness and resentment know no bounds. As odd as this might sound, holding a grudge, keeping resentment, actually gives the other person all of the power. I mean, it might seem like a very powerful and audacious and spiteful thing to do somebody to withhold forgiveness. Bottom line is, it's one of the stupidest, most disempowering things any of us could ever do. Because by giving that person all of the power, we take away from ourselves the ability to move forward and do anything else with our lives. In fact, it takes way more energy to hold a grudge than it does to let it go. It's kind of like the difference between frowning and smiling. One takes way more energy. The one that takes less energy is actually a lot more fun and better for you. And if you've ever experienced what it feels like to actually forgive somebody, that moment where you've let it go and you've acknowledged that it's gone and it's not going to bother you anymore, wow, it's like the weight of the world has been lifted completely from your shoulders. And in effect, it really has, because you've created all of this stuff around you that's attached to that forgiveness issue. And it starts to repeat over and over and over again and just continually hold you back. And once you've given that forgiveness, then you can actually move forward for the first time. Because when you have a forgiveness issue, when you're holding a grudge, the only way you can move is back. Now, here's the real kicker. There are actually 2 types of people that you might have a forgiveness issue with. Now, the first one is external. That's pretty obvious, okay? That can be anybody outside of you that has done something wrong to you, parents, friends, spouse. Some people hold them against their kids, your boss, whoever it might be. It's pretty easy to sit down when you really start to evaluate who you might have a forgiveness issue with that's out there. The other one was the single biggest issue that I personally had when I started figuring this out, and that's forgiving yourself. Now, for me, it took sitting down and actually realizing that my limit, the place that I kept reaching and then coming back and reaching and then coming back, had to do with the fact that I hadn't forgiven myself for all the other times that I had set a goal and failed, which has been a lot. And all the times that I've set out to go do something and either not been able to accomplish it or more often than not, just given up. An easy way to think about it is like January 15th is when 85 to 90% of people have already given up on their New Year's resolutions. It's that same thing. And the self-talk that starts going on whenever you get into that, conscious of it or not, is you get ready to set a big goal. You get ready to put everything in place to really go for it, go do something big. And your mind starts going, why are you even bothering? You know you're not going to accomplish that. Last time you set a big goal, we know what kind of a disaster that was. And by the way, even if you did go out and do that, what would everybody around you think? What would everybody do or think about you if you started to do more than what they're used to seeing you do, more than you've ever done before? And that'd be pretty weird, wouldn't it? Why don't you just go ahead and coast back and be safe and not stick your head up? Those are the kinds of things that a forgiveness issue can start playing into your life. Now, once I had been willing to go ahead and establish and forgive myself for the things that I'd messed up in the past, and again, that's been a lot. I've still got a lot of forgiving to do. But once I had done that, and the people that I work with, once they've actually established and they've actually said, I've even made people look in the mirror and forgive themselves. I mean, they get emotional about it. It's not an easy thing to do all of the time, but oh, it's so worth it to forgive yourself and be ready to just move on. And once you do, what I personally noticed and what I've witnessed in other people is once you've forgiven yourself, all of a sudden the same effort that you used before to try to accomplish something accomplishes more. Maybe the same effort that you used and failed, now because you don't have all of this resentment, this nastiness holding you back, you're able to actually go further with the exact same effort. and you start to compound and start to get more and more momentum and do more and more things. You notice that you get further, and beyond that, you notice that you can sustain what it is that you've accomplished. That's a real key, because instead of reaching something and falling back, you reach something and you're there, and you make plans to keep going further, and you keep moving more and more and more into your life. Take time to study yourself. Find out where you might have some forgiveness issues lurking in the depths of your soul. Get them out there. Get them in the light. Expose them. Find the way to forgive, and see how much further it takes you.